Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared. It is March 2nd, 2022. And let's take a look at where we are this week. So, given that it's Wednesday, just sort of a midweek recap of what's been going on, some of the areas in focus for the market, and have we really been moving outside of expectation? Or are things so far sort of in line with some of the volatility readings we got this week? So starting off with the S&Ps, we are still within our SPX expected move, so no major tests or breaches as of yet. Given yesterday was a down day in the market, and given that we are essentially closing lower for the first time in the past 3 sessions, we do want to acknowledge that the lower bound is about 42.58 for the week. And if the S&Ps do sort of break yesterday's low, we might want to watch some of the price behavior around this price in the SPX. More notably, once again, this is not necessarily support and resistance for the market. The idea is that the option dynamics change if we start to breach or close outside of these bounds. So amidst yesterday's sort of pullback in the larger rally that occurred a couple days prior, context-wise, we really haven't done anything outside of the norm, and volatility is so far capturing this price movement. Now, some notes on volatility this week. Last week, I think the key inflection point for the VIX was centered around the 30 print. We certainly saw some intraday session and also some pretty wild trade whenever the volatility did get above 30. And just to comment on where we are today, the VIX remains elevated, not only above that 30 print, but also as we always discuss, the actual pricing model for the VIX coming from volatility futures. And this particular product has remained in backwardation ever since we started looking at these concepts. So essentially, if you joined us during the discussion about contango, backwardation, how this affects the market, this product has not backed down. It's essentially stayed in this state and obviously got elevated even further with the most recent geopolitical conflict. So what this means for those maybe unfamiliar, our active contract right now is the March contract. You certainly want to see, that participation of volume in these active contracts that does begin to roll off as we move into the next active contract. So essentially as we get the rolling event of this market. But March to April, we are seeing a slight skew here in regards to higher forward volatility compared to back volatility. And even if I compare throughout the rest of this term structure, the volume here is not as high, but we are seeing this still being pricing forward volatility is much more expensive than back volatility. And, there's plenty of ways to look at this, both graphically. This particular tool has something called product depth. And all you can do here is just kind of narrow this down into a couple of these contracts. Make sure you're on the right product, which I could type. And you can see that this is showing early sort of April, May pricing models are higher than back month, and that should be all of our series printed here. So that continues to be the market we live in. This is the market generated information, i.e., trade what the market is currently doing, and obviously protect yourself if you're in a market like this. Don't necessarily have to be super aggressive in higher volatility because the moves are bigger. If you have really good sort of risk management skills, you can identify trends very well. I think this market is built for those types of traders, simply because if you're right in the model of a trend, whatever that trend looks like, it'll go for quite a while. And that certainly was the case yesterday on the SPY. It might not look like much because we're looking at other relative candles. And recall that this is one of the largest S&P candles seen probably over the past couple of years. So in retrospect, this most recent pullback doesn't look that big. But if you were trading, let's say last year, if you maybe haven't seen this volatility before, you might be looking at the sell-off and starting to wonder, is there news? Is there some activity that's driving the selling? And at the end of the day, it really is just a normal pullback in a higher volatility market. It's what pullbacks look like whenever the market can move 10 points in an intraday session. And this is both true to the upside and to the downside, essentially forming our range for us to evaluate moving forward. Now, as we've been discussing here, the S&Ps are certainly putting up some defensive measures, especially from the bullish perspective. Bulls are certainly not in control in any way, state, or form, but the selling does appear to have been somewhat capped for the moment. And what we're looking at is, amidst all of this sort of catalytic news in the market, the S&Ps are putting up potentially the structure of a reversal that might take place if we can break further and print new daily swing highs. Now, once again, I just like to think in theoretical here. I like to pose different possible scenarios for the market. And what does a good sort of reversal pattern look like? Well, typically you have a high volume event somewhere near the low, basically to stop the selling that is forming, in this case, a bullish reversal. You also tend to give yourself as a bull enough room to where it can sort of appease the appetite of conservative bulls entering positions. And in this case, you often want to return to price levels that have price levels that have indicated bounces in the past, basically reversal points that have occurred in the market prior. So in this case, we do have a high volatility range that formed back in January. The market was able to recover back into this higher volatility range, albeit the volatility now is actually higher than it was in January. That is notable. And then, of course, we just applied just our normal sort of theoretical concepts here. How far has this bounce gone? And how far has the pullback been on yesterday's session? Let's say yesterday, the low was the low set for something like a higher low into a new swing high. Well, normal bull flag sort of concept here, but oftentimes you want the bulls to defend around the 38.2. And if I simply draw the fib sort of extension from low to high, yesterday was a pivot candle. There's no doubt that the bears had some control yesterday, but just looking at where they stopped, the bears so far have only brought us down about 38.2 from low to high. And if the bulls sort of recapture the momentum and break into new swing highs in this market, whatever the catalyst may be, that also gives us a sort of full confirmation that this is looking more like a bull flag. And additionally, we'd be starting to break out of our downtrend retracement. So if this occurs, and if the volume and other indicators support the move, you want to understand that this is conceptually what a bull flag looks like, regardless of its location, regardless of where we've been, and understand that we're looking sort of ahead. What is the next move in the market? The past couple weeks, the past couple months have been to the downside, absolutely. But amidst all that, there are going to be recovery moments. There are going to be relief rallies. and where those can occur, looking for those sort of key areas of the market and trying to find some signal to kind of give us confidence that it is going to push forward. So S&Ps are in that state. Obviously, if we do see more daily consolidation, we'd be looking to start to break and maybe even test around the 425. And we do have the SPX sort of weekly expected move as our guide. Obviously, other markets are going to dictate that. The Nasdaq is a pretty important one to see some relative strength. What we have here, just sort of a rough downtrend retracement line. Once again, we are starting to sort of crack this area. It's not perfect. We could certainly dig in lower time frame and get more clarity, but we are starting to crack our head slightly above. And if the bulls, once again, the bulls have the proving to do, they can form a new swing high off of this reversal low, then ultimately, once again, bull flag scenario, we want to give the bulls the benefit of the doubt because they're coming from a position of weakness. They're basically proving to us at the lows that they're willing to move forward. And that's a very powerful signal. It gives the bears sort of pause. And obviously, we'd be looking for resistance-related targets, something like a weekly high, or just giving it the sort of bull flag measured move that's appropriate for the setup. So all of those markets are sort of established in the same way. We can look at the IWM as well. This one's a little different. The range has set up a little bit more clean. I would say the IWM did defend its January lows, albeit it wasn't January 24th. And the market did have sort of a mid-range recovery so far near the 200 print. So if the IWM sort of follows suit, once again, we did pivot slightly down yesterday. The market probably has a good chance to continue to this swing high. And of course, larger picture here, we're still below a massive trading range from back in time. But if the bulls want to defend this level for now, then so be it. The IWM has a chance to push slightly ahead. And I think that would be with the rest of the market. Once again, though, keep in mind, this market is postured very differently than other markets. And there's plenty of overhead resistance that's been established for much longer than the S&Ps and the Nasdaq. Basically, overhead supply is going to be quite challenging if we do reject once again at this upper bound. So what's been in focus for the market, I think, is going to be a lot of our sort of conflict-related assets. It's obviously worth mentioning crude continues to be in a breakout territory. And this is essentially the alternate theory scenario whenever crude was starting to get top heavy around the 100 print. There was sort of a technical reason to think that crude had a chance to fade from its uptrend, but this is sort of the short covering side of the equation, along with the catalyst driving this momentum for crude prices. You know, if anyone did consider sort of a neutral to short bias in crude, obviously you should have covered at this point, but understand this is the alternate theory, the idea that markets normally behave in sort of wave-like structures until something else happens. And that's when you get this sort of panic in either direction. It could be to the upside or the downside. So crude has plenty of sort of economic catalysts at this point. I think most of us are familiar with some of the issues impacting companies like BP. They're starting to basically separate from Russian-specific holdings and asset allocation. There's just also going to be heightened supply and demand until we see some resolution from this conflict. So those companies, these stocks remain in focus. If you're looking for candidates for trade, I would say stick to the ones that are breaking out. But understand that if we do see any sort of maybe like glimmer of things starting to settle. There is some discussion about maybe a convoy entering into some major cities in Ukraine. How that resolves over the next couple days, this will be pretty important for these trades. And if you're looking at the option side of this, understand that these are in essentially gamma squeeze territory. They've broken their expected move for the week. Their expected move was not pricing in this particular volatility at all. So the option market got it very wrong, and that's going to force hedging. In this case, it's to the upside. This can continue for a while, and Oxy is a good example. CVX is a good example. Most of these are either breaking or have breached their expected move over the past couple days. So trying to think of any other clear examples. There was ConocoPhillips that we looked at this morning. Not all of them are in a position of strength like this, but these are the ones to maybe focus on. So that's oil in a nutshell. Metals, just as a sort of not even a sector, it's almost an industry in focus. The metals have been performing, and if you're unfamiliar with this particular ETF, it's not a heavily weighted ETF in any sense. Some of these companies aren't even necessarily in the S&P like top 250, so they're very low market cap companies, but they're tradable and they're very volatile this past week. Some key examples here are going to be Alcoa. This is probably one that a lot of people have seen if you've been with us in the BBT chat room. Freeport-McMoRan for copper, steel for United States Steel, or X for just steel. And then there's a few more down the list. Maybe CLF are kind of some of the better traders intraday. But all of these can be looked at as stocks in focus. And, just going through the list of XME, looking for candidates, because if this continues, this is a multi-month consolidation range. This particular groups of stocks have been trading sideways for a while, and it might look extended in this upthrust, but when you have this type of consolidation, this sets up for trends. This is your first sort of signal that this market is trending. You get not only the low to high, but you get the bull flag sort of pullback mentality, and then of course the extension. I would say be looking higher time frame for where this market might be headed. This is clearing, years worth of upside levels. So, definitely give this one the opportunity to extend and look for pullback buys to define risk. That's kind of the goal of any trend, is if the pullbacks are getting bought, if new swing highs have high volume, then the market's technically still trending. So once again, though, just keep an eye on this one in relation to asset pricing, and whichever stocks you focus on, they're going to be sensitive to whatever particular industry they're targeting. If you're trading something like US Steel, you might want to be watching steel prices. If you're trading Freeport-McMoRan, you might want to be watching copper prices. Whatever happens to be the metal in focus. Side note, Palladium. Nothing crazy about this particular setup here, but I do want to comment on some of the equity volatility that we're seeing as traders, and just to kind of give you some idea as to what could be forcing some of the pressure in particularly stocks like semiconductors. So let me go ahead and just remove this real quick. And what I want to do is just do a quick comparison study with a well-known semiconductor ETF, SMH. Now, correlation in the market can be seen in different ways. It's good when you have two products that have a direct tie to each other, and Palladium is a material that's needed for semiconductor production. Semiconductors have been somewhat weak overall, along with a lot of tech. They've seen pretty significant drawdowns from their all-time highs. And I just wanted to comment here that there's sort of an inverse relationship with the performance of Palladium, along with the semiconductor, volatility and downside performance. So this is something I observed a couple of probably months ago once I understood this relationship. Been kind of monitoring it, not really taking too much action here, but understand that Palladium did bottom out back in mid-December. That's around the time that a lot of these semiconductors hit their either all-time high or just relative highs overall. And mostly looking at these larger sort of weekly moves, these reversals, up thrusts in the market led to massive sort of downside activity in semiconductors. Understand though, it is correlated with tech. So, there's some correlation, direct correlation there. But if you're looking for maybe a signal to look at semiconductors, any topping action that occurs in Palladium, especially once again, if this conflict starts to evolve and change around these asset supply demand models, this might be an entry signal for the market to look at semiconductors as being somewhat undervalued. But until then, there's going to be a little bit of pressure in the semiconductors just from a production standpoint. If it costs more to produce them, then ultimately that's going to affect the pricing model and the profitability model when it comes to selling them to consumers. And that's true of Palladium. It's true of Neon, which I don't have a futures ticker for that. But it's true of a lot of different asset prices, all of which are, for the most part, rising. We are still technically in a high inflation environment, and some of the supply chain models are starting to shift. So something to look at if you're looking maybe for like a secondary entry point outside of the technicals. This might be something to monitor and keep on your watch. So go ahead and remove that comparison. Another thing that's been in focus, wheat production here. This is an ETF for wheat. I forget how to pronounce this. Tucrium. They provide a lot of good ETF, I would say one-to-ones for asset pricing, commodity assets. So like if you want soybean exposure, soy B is your ticker that I would kind of look at. If you want corn exposure, it's just corn. That one's pretty easy. But additionally, wheat has been on the rise. Wanted to call it out because it's not only breaking out, but it's continuing to be in sort of a very strong bullish upthrust, breaking some very high weekly, monthly levels overall. Not only is this to something that's going to be affected by production issues, but once again, the technicals here are one of continuation. Any pullback, I think, is going to be looked at as a buying opportunity. I think there's going to be trend line support coming into this market, even though it is extended at the moment. And once again, if you're looking for exposure to some of these, you don't have to be a futures trader. There are some ETF equivalents. Not every asset, not every commodity has it, but there are quite a few. So if you just want some short-term or even long-term exposure, these are the ways to go. Let's see. We do have a discussion this week from, I'll just pull up our calendar to clarify. So today we do have the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell testimony, I believe starting at 9 o'clock. I'm not sure exactly when it concludes, and I believe it is a 2-day event. Yeah. So this is going to be sort of in focus for the market for a while. Obviously, what does this current climate have to do with Fed decision? A lot of the Fed fund rate predictions have dropped off the potential of the double rate hike in March. So they're basically, the market itself is pricing in almost a zero probability of that event occurring. They're looking once again as a single rate hike as the most likely scenario. So is the market starting to discount some of that initial Fed rate hike fear, maybe looking out 6 months like the market often does, and starting to anticipate what the next sort of phase of the market cycle looks like? We might get some clarity today. I'm not saying that today is the day where sort of the sky becomes all clear once again, but some clarity from this testimony will help. And certainly looking at what the bond market does in response. TLT has been in sort of a weekly breakout. There's been sort of a fear trade back into bonds. This has put a little bit of pressure into the equities. But if you recall, rising interest rates has been bad for tech. Dropping interest rates amidst maybe some of the volatility coming outside of the market might be a good situation for some of these tech stocks to have a breather. And if they do, you know, some of the key names that we know represent a large portion of the market will help provide that fuel back to the upside. So haven't seen it yet. Obviously, the TNX has come off very fast from that 2% reading. And this is where being an inflection point trader, knowing what the inflections are, obviously 2% was in focus on the way up, but then on the way back down, it becomes obvious that that was sort of a relative top. We want to watch out for how the market responds to this, and obviously take the appropriate trade. If tech becomes in focus again, you know, bull steam, you know, bull sort of scenario here, we'll look for tech trades. If not, then continue this volatility and a little bit of uncertainty as the S&Ps maybe trade in this trading range for multiple weeks. So all that said, lots to focus on. It almost feels as if there's not enough time to cover everything this particular day. I wanted to highlight what's been working and what hasn't. Commodity trading is certainly in focus. Some of these commodities are basically continuing just bullish trends. They're making new highs. They're basically seeing pressure from what's happening in the world. The S&Ps are in a bit of a flux state. We'll see what the next sort of phase looks like. And obviously keep in mind that a lot of this is going to be driven by the Fed's actions. Whatever is decided, the market is trying to discount that into current asset prices. And, you know, a lot of that double rate hike expectation has fallen off. So is the market about to see a much more powerful relief rally off of that? Or has it already taken that into account? That's where we'll use the technicals to get a sense of what's next. So I guess, as always, trade safe, stay tuned for pre-market prep, and we'll talk more tomorrow. So keep it green.
Okay, there it goes now. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pre-Market Prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hope you guys had a great day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, buddy. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good, my friend. Doing good. Guys, welcome to the pre-market prep. Big thumbs up over for Jared for engineering the markets. So let's make sure you take a quick second to hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. We appreciate it. So good morning, everyone. Let's see what we got going on today. Um, let's look at the stuff we had yesterday on our list, starting with Target. I mean, it was a tough day yesterday. Definitely out of at least for me, out of the few that we have had the last couple of weeks, yesterday was up there with just some really a lot of indecision trading and not a lot of continuation. And days like that are pretty tough to trade. So scalping could be a good idea at times, not overstaying your welcome because sometimes these moves come back really quick back to your entry or break even point. So here's Target, guys. They had earnings last night, good pre-market action for them. At the market open, a bit of a drop. As you can see here, just not any type of good continuation. Besides this initial drop here, you didn't really get anything clean on it. And that's okay. Target, for the most part, does not trade very clean. And we know that, right? But they had earnings yesterday. They looked pretty good pre-market. We kept that on deck. And also, guys, depends how you trade, right? If you're sitting in here and holding all day, right? Maybe you could have got a move out of this. A lot of that depends too on your trading style as well. Here is Mara. Mara actually traded somewhat decent, had a nice drop here, a good pullback to the VWAP, and then became a nice short the entire rest of the morning, at least, right? All the way down to noon. And then from there, you had a good opportunity to take a reversal back up towards above the VWAP and then some. So Mara, not bad yesterday. I still did not touch it. I mean, it's just one of these stocks where it can be difficult to get in at times. Here's Lucid. I really wanted Lucid to trade a whole lot better. Had a great pre-market activity at the market open, showing some weakness, but then right after that, every candle overlapping the previous candle, so it didn't really do much. Now it did squeeze right into a point here, which was nice, and you can see here the takeoff above the VWAP. You have to be paying a lot of attention, seeing the higher highs, higher lows happening here, and then just taking off there. So that was nice. Here's Zoom. Zoom also again initial pop, and then every candle just kind of overlapping the previous one. Nice downtrend for the entire day, and then just kind of the theme for the rest of the stuff here. Apple, same thing. Very choppy, guys, at the open. Just look at this. Look at Apple, how choppy that was. So many stocks not doing a whole lot. First half of the day, later they did get slightly better. All right, let's see what we have on our gappers list this morning, guys. We'll dive into that in just a second here. But we got a couple of names that reported. I know Nordstrom was reporting because Brian was on after the close yesterday. We were talking about that one. It's a couple of other ones that I'm not seeing right now. I think Plug was on here as well. It's a few more. We'll get into those if they pop up here. Not a whole lot in the red. And some of these ticker norms, I'm sure you probably kind of graced through this already, are not great intraday trading stocks.
No,
I'm looking
no.
at them
But
right now,
like
and
yesterday, man. I mean,
yeah,
we'll get stuff that'll fill in. We're full of oil stocks. Oil's hit about 111 bucks, uh, and that's Brent. WTI wasn't far behind 109, 110. It's hard to believe, Carlos. Less than 2 years ago, an oil contract was negative $40 almost.
yeah,
2 short years ago.
yeah.
What was it? April of 2020.
I don't remember the exact month, but
Remember
yes,
the guy
yeah,
that bought oil at like
yeah, yeah.
35 cents or something, thinking, oh,
Mm-hmm.
if I lose whatever, I lose $400. He
Yeah,
ended up losing almost $1 million. Yeah.
right. Nobody knew it can go towards the downside. It was so
Nobody,
funny. Yeah,
they did not realize it could or would go negative. Yeah. I mean, it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
unbelievable. So, crazy place we're in. SPY has been gapped up all morning, but we're starting to give that back. Currently up about 0.25%, almost 0.2% green on the Qs, but giving that back rather quickly. Of course, we've still got the same macro stuff going on. We've got ADP employment came out a little bit ago, better than expected. But the interesting part about that was the small businesses lost jobs. Medium businesses were relatively flat, small gain, but it was only large businesses that really comprised the adding jobs to the economy. And that could be stipulated that, we've got all these, of course, we've had the worker shortages and uh, all that stuff, hiking of wages and wage inflation, and some people are hypothesizing that it's really only the large businesses that can absorb those extra costs, and that's part of the problem involved there. Who knows? We'll see. Interesting dynamic. We've got Fed speakers throughout the morning sprinkled in. Jay Powell testimony at 10 a.m., but he's speaking right now. I keep getting, I don't know what the story is there, but I keep hearing Squawk talk about Jay Powell's statements, and then Beige Book 2 p.m. So that is where we are.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Norm. Guys, let's get to our list this morning. We're going to go ahead and remove everything from yesterday. Control A, Control X on that. And there we go. Clean list. Let's take a look at JW. And this is Nordstrom, not real estate, realtor company that is popping up, had earnings last night, did very well. So you can see here up 29% at the moment. So, you know what? Pre-market action is not looking bad. JP Morgan is one of these retail companies that doesn't trade very well. Not JP Morgan, excuse me, Nordstrom. We'll see. I kind of like this pre-market activity this morning.
I agree. It doesn't usually trade very well. It's a hell of a gap for it, though.
Yeah.
So today might be an outlier. It's also got a pretty high short float at 22%. So we'll see.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, they had earnings last night after the close. So
great pre-market action for them this morning, guys. So we'll keep this on here. Really like what I'm seeing there so far. Let's take a look at Indo. You guys know how bad this is. I have not really kept it on my list. Right now, they're up 20%. The one thing, though, their daily's holding here, right? Usually when we see these lower flow stocks kind of hold here, could be kind of like the catalyst is kind of having some weight to it, It hasn't dropped off the face of the earth just yet, trying to hold that 11. So that could be interesting today if you are a low flow trader. Right, but just keep in mind it's a very risky stock. But this here does look interesting for me because usually after the third day, they just collapse right back down. They're really not tradable and they're hanging around $5 again. But this one is trying to hold. So it could be interesting.
I prefer the other kind of Indo.
I agree 100%. It's less harmful than this is for sure. Guarantee you, at least to your bank account. Here is SoFi, guys. SoFi this morning up 15.4. 5.9 million shares traded. This was active last night as well. Brian was talking about this.
After the bell, yeah.
So again, it really crazy action, though. It was not really tradable to get. It was very tough there. But yeah, it could be in play today, guys. We'll have it on list. They got some decent volume this morning. We'll see how that goes. 6 million for them. What I find about them is that their price action is usually all over the place. And that's what makes it tough to trade. Like it's one of these stocks that the pullbacks are too aggressive to be in a move that's going to end up working out. You just can't hold through a pullback that's that aggressive. So that's what I find with SoFi. So let's be careful with that. TTE this morning. This is a horrible trading stock. Not good for day trading. So energy company. We have Shell here.
Yeah, it's French oil and gas. You've got a lot of other stuff you can trade BP. Better than these. Foreign oils.
There's all foreign oils coming up here. Oxy is the one that I'm going to keep on deck, guys. So you can see here already a nice pre-market activity, and you got some good movement there. So I think Oxy will be a good one for us today. I'll throw that on deck. But you got a couple on here. I know XOM. I know that someone's going to throw that out because you guys love XOM. So I'm just going to help you out. I'm going to put it here as a possible. So we have it in case someone joins late and starts throwing that out. So we'll put it on there because I know you guys love that one. On our gappers list, gapping up, I see Ford on here, and I just don't know.
I traded Ford earlier.
No, come on now.
Yeah.
No way, you did? Yeah. Nice. No, I know they had a catalyst. Yeah, you should.
Yeah, so this morning they discussed guidance, but they announced they're going to split into different business segments. They'll still be all under at least for the next few years, all be under the same company and be Ford, but they're splitting off their EV section. They're trying to work on their efficiency by doing that. So
yeah, Ford has gone through a lot of changes. I know that they were going to stop selling cars. They actually eventually stopped doing that, like sedans. I know they were just going to focus on trucks or something, but they've really been going through some kind of changes here. We'll see. Ford. I know also last night they mentioned about closing some factories out in it was Russia, Ukraine. I don't remember. It was something with war related, where they're closing out some factories or whatever the case may be. So we'll see. Let's take a look here, guys. What else do we have this morning? Oh, gap down list. Gap down. We have Eric today. Eric here. They
Garbage.
are. Oh, this is Eric Erickson, the mobile
Just
company,
throw it
right?
away.
Yeah, this is basura. Let's go to PTRA this morning. 12 down 12.5, 119,000. Another not great stock at all. So we'll skip on that one. ANF today. They are, oh man, what's up with it? This gap down list is just brutal, guys. What is this? Fake Google? What is,
Abercrombie and Fig Newton. What?
what? Where?
Abercrombie and Fitch. What? Google. That's not Google.
No, it's a fake Google.
That's,
I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fake Google. That's what people trade when they think they're trading Google, but it's really not.
Forgot a couple of letters there. Yeah. So this is no good. Yeah, ANF. So ANF had earnings. Is that what it is? You're mentioning? Yeah.
Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah. So we'll have to see, man. I like Nordstrom a lot more today. Oh man,
Yeah.
look! By the time we get on for trading, this thing might be already done, closing the gap down here. That's not fun. RIVN this morning. No good today. Not looking great. I don't like it. DLTR. No, DLTR was very active a few months ago. I mean, it's just madness. I never traded it. At least I don't think I have, but they can be very wild. I remember that the risk. I don't know how you manage your risk on this when you get a pullback that's $3-4. Even taking a small share size. I mean, how do you plan around technicals, even if you are pulling back that much, right? So we'll skip on this today. All right, guys. Not a whole lot on this list, but that's okay. Norm, I know you got some good ones probably out there, some that we've been watching, that we're always watching. I'm being hopeful, but I know we'll keep an eye on Apple, right?
Yeah, I mean, Facebook, Nvidia. You mentioned Plug earlier. While it's no longer on the list, it should pop back up because it's now back. It had gapped up over 2%, came back within range, so it wasn't showing up, but now it's back at 2%. So it should show up here soon. It had earnings last night. I'm sure it'll be in play today. There it is.
We were listening to the earnings last night.
Facebook, Nvidia, Square. Hopefully
Facebook
we get some other stuff.
Facebook, I'll put Facebook on here, and Nvidia, of course, and Nvidia, and then block before somebody says, "Oh, it's not
yeah,
Square," and you know how that goes. All right, Square. Well, I call it Square.
I wish
block.
I changed the damn ticker.
You know what? If you change the name, you got to change the ticker. So you should. That should be like a thing, right? But it is what it is. All right, guys, and yeah, Plug. Did I put Plug on here? Yeah, I'm gonna watch Plug. Brian had a monster sniping trade yesterday on this after hours. He got in for a short right on here and didn't get the whole entire move, but got a big chunk of this, and he got out quickly because you know how these things are. You got to be in and out because look what happens right after. Look at this pop right back and goes even green for a while. So yeah, that'll be exciting today. Doesn't have great volume just yet, but I suspect we're going to get the volume. All right, guys, let's take it over to our chat room. Let's see what we have.
Did you pull up Rivian?
I did.
Rivian's. Oh, okay. I couldn't. I guess I didn't. Rivian actually. Rivian's starting to get volume. It might be decent.
Let me see here.
They announced they're having to raise their prices by like 20%. That's no bueno.
That's in this type of economy where it takes a lot more to fill my gas. So I don't know what they do. What these guys do is auto.
Yeah,
Rivian,
electric
EV,
cars.
Cars.
That's the one that was supposed to be backed by Amazon, but then Amazon decided to dance with somebody else, and
this not good news for them. Let's put that on here. Secondary for now. We'll see where that goes. Ends up. All right, our chat. Let's start there, guys. Let's look at. We will start with Propeller 6-7. We'll start with you. Nuan, Nuan. Looking at here. Oh, not Propeller. You've been around long enough to know this would not be making our watch list unless you have some kind of news that you're waiting for it to break out. And even then, look at this. Oh, no. That's not going to be on our list. Propeller, you might get blocked for like 2 days. Just not just kidding. Let's look at Chris. You're giving us AMD. Yes, AMD is good. You can watch that one. I have Nvidia. I have Nvidia. I have Apple, but you can pick between that and AMD. Either one, it's good. Let me see here. AMD. Actually, AMD's pre-market looks pretty decent. Yeah, let's put it as a pass. So I might replace. Who knows? Might replace Apple or Nvidia with that one. That one looks good. I like that one. XELE, yes, you can watch that one, Lucio, as well. I believe that's a ETF, right?
Which one?
XLE,
Yeah,
yes, energy ETF. I normally don't put the ETFs on my list, but we'll be talking about them throughout the day, that's for sure. Let's take a look here. Michael, CVX this morning. This one is a Chevron. Oh yeah, Chevron is in play too, guys. I have Oxy. Chevron, for intraday trades, it's tough. I think Oxy gets a little more volume, but all depends on your trading style, guys. Just be aware of the lack of volume you're getting on these stocks, right? It's not gonna move close like a nowhere near AMD, obviously, or Nvidia, things like that. So just be aware, Michael, of how that's gonna trade. Obviously, I'm sure you know that you've been around with us for a bit. RSX this morning. What is this? This is a Russian ETF, Vank Ek.
Yeah.
What's the ETF for?
Russian
Financial
stock
or
market.
just the overall stock market? Yeah, so this is popping up a little bit here. Yeah, I won't be trading this. I'm not want no part of that. Let's go to PLTR.
Borscht.
Yeah, I just don't want any part of that damn thing. But for those guys, hopefully, if I don't know, some of us have, some of you guys have families and friends over there. Hopefully, this thing dies down and we can get back to normal here. PLTR this morning, a little bit of movement. Not great, not great. I'm gonna put it to the side for now. Let's take a look at Lucid. Yes, I do want to watch Lucid today. And they have a good pre-market activity. Had a gap down yesterday. They didn't do a whole lot, but I'm hoping that one of these days they're gonna start breaking out of this last day's range or something. I do like their
It
pre-market
was a
activity
great trader
today.
for a little while. It just sucks now.
Yeah, I know, man. It was so explosive, and the life has just been sucked out of it. And kind of not all EVs, but even Neo too. I remember we were watching Neo quite a bit, and we're not seeing that anymore. But Lucid was actually had the potential to be better than Neo as far as intraday trading wise, man. The continuations on that thing, the volume, all great, but we're not seeing that. We'll keep Lucid on deck. I do like that one. Let's take a look here at good to have Carlos back at his regular speed. Yes, I did not take any type of substance this morning that's going to increase my
Uppers.
speed. So I am good. I am chilled. So Lucid, AMD, yeah, back in the day they were good. Yeah, I agree. Angel, Zen, they were really, really good. No, actually, I take that back. AMD is still actually pretty decent. Once in a while, you get a nice pop there. All right, let's take over to our YouTube chat. What do you guys have this morning? Frank, you're giving us MULN. I think we looked at this. I think someone brought this up yesterday or the day before. I can't remember, but yeah, this is no good, guys. I mean, this is more of a penny stock. We don't really focus on that one. If that's your cup of tea, by all means, go for it. But we don't really look at that one. Viacom what happened to Viacom? Why is it looking all weird here? Oh, they changed ticker names. They changed to what was it? You're all in on Viacom. Yeah. What was it? They got a new ticker name. I forget their name, but that's why it looks so weird. Did you guys notice too?
Was it Paramount? I get Para, maybe?
Para? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, looks horrible. YNDX. I know this because I was watching. We had this on our list when it gapped down. I kept it on the list, and I usually, when I put something on my list, the next day I'll go through it to see if anything looks good for a possible continuation or just a second day play. And this thing just stopped. Remember, it halted, and it hasn't opened up. So YNDX is just hanging out
Yeah,
here.
they've halted those. The exchange has halted all the Russian companies, and they are not trading. So
Oh, okay, I did not know that. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Right. So this is just to kind of help with it going.
that one,
Yeah.
remember, what was it, OZON or whatever? There's like a dozen of them that they've halted.
Yeah, I don't remember the OC. Yeah, I don't remember that one. But yeah, it's interesting. So this is why, and Norm, you talk about this all the time with these tickers, YNDX. Trading them and even holding them overnight, or even getting in a trade because it was open that
No.
morning.
Yeah.
It was open that morning, and then it just stopped.
Here, I'm I'm gonna throw a if you guys we got plenty of time, so
We got time. Yeah.
check the chat, brother. I'm gonna throw
Yep.
a there you go. There's a link. Pull that up. And we can show
Yep.
people. If you ever want to know about halts or anything, you can always go to this Nasdaq
I'm gonna
site,
switch
and
to
it
right
shows
now.
what the halts are. There are others, but this is the actual source. Scroll down there, you can see all those companies that are halted.
Yep.
So what they've done is, and this is similar to what transpired on remember LK when it got halted.
Yeah.
For when they were accused of fraud and then they got halted. Essentially, what happens is if there's some funkiness going on, the exchange will halt the stock and request information from the company, and it's halted indefinitely. And that's what's going on with these. So
Yeah. Yeah. So you can see that there, guys. Definitely. We'll throw this in YouTube as well. And I have this too. I think you gave it to me before. I have it as on one of my bookmarks. You could quickly just hop into that. So yeah, there it is in YouTube chat as well. So you guys have it. Thanks, Norm, for that reminder. All right, guys. A few more from YouTube here. Did not forget about you guys. DKNG, Bank of America. Let's take a look there. DKNG this morning. I know they were has some movement the last couple of days. Again, they keep gapping down and somehow ending green. Here they did the same thing yesterday. They gapped down and ended green after a nice pop, just sold off pretty bad towards the end there. Not a whole lot of volume, but we'll have to wait. They're sitting at a gray area on the daily. I think this is a ticker that you kind of sit on for a bit, like we're doing with Facebook, right? We're with Facebook, we're kind of sitting here to see when some of the squeeze is will be coming in. I believe the stock is going to pop up eventually, so we're just kind of watching it really. This is a good one today too. If we can continue to to bang our heads against this level here, that can be a nice one if we can get going there. Bank of America, the banks, I don't know. I don't think they've really been heavily in play. You got some movement here. I won't be watching them today. I think we got some other ones that we hopefully can get some good activity out of. AMD, we do have the VIX. Yeah, you can, Louis, Lucy. The VIX is you can watch the VIX. It says Lois or Luisi. I don't know. It sounds like a Mario game name. I don't know. I have no idea, but yeah, the VIX is you can watch that, the volatility index. Just be very, very careful trading that, guys. It is leveraged out, I don't know, 3 times or something, or maybe even more. Just be careful with that. AMD, we have TSM. It's no good. Nvidia, we have BP. Yeah, you can watch any of the oil stocks. I have Oxy here for me. Paris, now Viacom. Thanks, Digital. Good. And yeah, I think we're all set, guys. So we are good to go here. Let's go over to our community events and announcement.
No, tinfoil hat line is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
Do you pay much? I don't use the tinfoil hotline or line or whatever. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Thor's waking up and saying, "What? What's happening? Somebody's talking about me." All right, guys, let's get over to our community events and announcements. We'll come back and fine tune this list. If you haven't done so already, we're sitting at 126 likes. We'd love to get some support over on YouTube. We want to reach for 250 today if we can. Thank you, guys.
We all trade different strategies too. I mean, I don't know. Thor can say whatever he wants to me. That the tinfoil hat line's ridiculous. All right. If you would go back.
Oh yeah, let me get you all set up over here. Let's get you back into Monday.
Yeah, guys, just a reminder, technology webinar after the onboarding is 8 p.m. on Monday nights. Next week, we'll have Kyle talking about DAS Trader Pro Q&A. Tuesday night, next week, we've got Mike talking about when to move your stop to break even, how to determine when to do that. Then tonight we've got Dr. Kenneth Reed talking about avoiding the trading trance, and next week 5 p.m. Eastern we'll have Creda talking about how to identify negative thinking that causes losing trades. That is a very good topic to discuss. Thursday is mentorship. Usually Andrew's at 11. We'll have somebody covering for him. I believe you, maybe, Carlos, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Then
Yes.
4:30 with Ed and 8 p.m. Eastern with Thor. You guys can discuss the tinfoil hat line all you want then. Don't forget about stocktradingsimulator.com, where you can go use our free web-based trading app, replay simulator. You don't have to download any software or pay for it. And you can also sign up for homework assignments while you're there to get a couple a week from the BBT mod, so you know exactly what time and what tickers to go look for to trade it. All right. If you want to go to bearbulltraders.com, if you're not a member, you can use the intro membership. That's 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. Scroll down and click that test drive now. And yeah, it does not recur. It's only one payment. And it cancels after that. Also, the Valentine's Day promotion, last couple of days going on. Lovers 50, half off the annual elite membership.
All right. Thank you very much, Norm. All right, guys, let's get to it. Looking at Bank of America here dropping a little bit. So something going on with the banks? I see banks just kind of took a little dive there, or it's just the overall market making
Probably
some moves.
the Powell talking stuff.
Okay. All right. We'll have to see how that. Hopefully he's done before the market open, so things can settle down. Or
10-year
else it can be.
Such as the rates have been dropping. I mean,
Yeah.
based
Yeah.
on what's going on, and like Jared just said it as well. 10-year was over 2% not too long ago, and they pulled back real hard the last couple of days. Last I looked, the 10-year was around 1.7 and change. So yeah.
All right, guys, let's take a look at our list this morning. We have a couple of things here. JWN, again, earnings, huge gap for them last night. Giving a little bit back today, only up 27.7. They're up pretty high this morning. So we'll see, showing a little bit of weakness there as far as the intraday, the pre-market action this morning. Here is SoFi. Again, this stock can be so explosive. I like them today, though. I like their pre-market action. I like their daily here, gapping up on earnings. So got a couple of things going on for them. Oxy is decent. I like them as well today. They're definitely in play. I like the daily too on Oxy. If you can see here, last couple of days, man, what I've been doing? I have not been looking at Oxy as much as I should. Look at it yesterday and the day before. Both days ran up right out of the gates. And then today, when I'm going to look at it, it probably won't do jack, but we'll see. That's usually how it ends up working out, right? Apple, guys, we'll keep an eye on. I think we have a decent list of Facebook and Nvidia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. We'll do levels for this. There's some good possibles in here, like Lucid, which actually looks really good, guys. I might move this up. AMD, I'm tech heavy. I have Apple and Nvidia. AMD does look good this morning, though. They got 1.5. So whoever I mentioned that AMD, thank you for that. I'm going to move them up. I think today will be a day where I move Nvidia down. Yeah, AMD looks very, very active this morning. So we'll keep AMD here. Looking very, very nice today. Let's go through our secondary list just to make sure there's anything that looks good. Plug could be something. I like Plug today for a possible. SQ, it's okay as well. XOM, you can watch XOM or Oxy. Rivian, see Rivian started going already. There's the drop we're seeing on Rivian. So Rivian looks good today too. So it's actually, as you see, as we're progressing here with the pre-market, things are starting to look a little bit better, right? Things are starting to look a little bit nicer. So I might do levels for this list. I might end up with a whole different list by the time I get, not a whole different list, but some different names in here by the time we get to the market open. So let's get to it, guys. Nordstrom, I know, are staying on my list for sure. We do have shares for short on this one. Big gap up after earnings. 26.29 is your high of your pre-market. Your low is being created right now at 24.70. Let's see if that's going to hold. You got a nice area of resistance here at 24.25. It seems to be. So you want to have, support. Trying to hold at 25. Couldn't. You see the drop here. Let's see if we can get back above that. Towards the bottom on the daily, a couple of areas here that stick out. Someone asked in the chat, by the way, on YouTube, any advice we can give them, best practices for drawing lines and viewing support and resistance. I'll give you the most basic thing. There's so many things that people do and so many indicators, but the most basic thing that I still do to this day that I learned from Andrew, his book, and his classes at that time back in 2017, and I still do the same thing now I have not changed it. I'm probably able to identify things a little bit quicker, but I haven't changed what he taught us there, right? So basically is there's got to be an area where you see a lot of touches on, a level, the way he calls it should stick out to you very blatantly. It should just be, okay, that's clearly a level. If you have to search really hard to find a daily level, then it might not be one, right? It's simple as that. This is not rocket science, right? So for example, if you look at this chart and you start drawing lines here, where do you see a lot of touches on here? Well, there's 2314, right? And if you draw a line in there, you could clearly see how much touches we have on this. 1, 2, right? A couple of days here. And then that also becomes support. Look how many days are opening and closing right around that 2314. And it might be 23, right? Always keep in mind these levels are an area, right? It's not always exact 2314. But you can clearly see here that is going to be a level. The next one towards the top is pretty close to the low of the pre-market over at 2470, right? It's right over here, this area, 2448. So it might be a little bit higher, but 2446, 48, that's another area of resistance. Not as strong as this 2314, because the more touches you have on this level, the stronger that level is going to be. The more conviction there is there, and the more people that can actually find that level. If you're the only one that has a level, then there's a problem, because if the market needs to see the level, and I say market, I'm talking about the participants, right? Us, the traders, we need to see that level. If you're the only one with a strategy, the only one with a level, it's probably not going to work, because you're not going to move the market yourself. You're not going to hold it. You're not going to put any resistance on it, right? So that's it. Just keep it simple. There's other things you can add as you get more experience as a trader that might help your specific strategy. But as far as looking on levels for the daily, this is it right here. Right. Then you can go back. Let's look at this 26.29 high of the pre-market. No coincidence. Let's say that was not the high of the pre-market, right? Let's say the high of the pre-market was over here. Let's just, we got time, right? 902. Let's say the high of the pre-market was 25.26. If you looked up north, right to the top, where's the next level going to be? Clearly, this is this level here. I mean, how can you miss that? You can't, right? It's very clear. So very easy, very simple, guys. Don't make it complicated. I love simplicity. I think that's one of the things that attracted me to Andrew's trading in this community. It's just how simple this can be. Not easy. Simple and easy are very two different things, right? All right, let's look at SoFi this morning. SoFi, good pre-market action, man. This thing is explosive, up 16% already. It's cranking today. It really is. Love the pre-market 1240. So we'll slam a level there, and which is kind of again going up against this. What is this? 13 and 19. This area of heavy resistance, right? Another great level there. So we're slamming up against that. Our pre-market high earlier, tinfoil line right here, 1354. That you can put some weight on that, but this 1319, this is where the action really is, man. This is where you want to see that breakout. You got this pop over here. We'll see what that does there. But that 1319, it's where you're getting a lot of resistance. Towards the top, guys, we're 14, 16 up here, and then all the way. We could keep going with this. And I only want to put one more level because I know this stock can move. And you also have levels of, strong levels and, minor areas of support and resistance. You can keep that in mind as well when you're putting these levels. All right, let's look at Oxy. Oxy, great pre-market activity, very active. Last couple of days, highs and lows are taking care of some activity there for you. Towards the top, I'm going to focus there, 48.87, which I think for Oxy and these oil companies is a little bit different when it comes to the levels, because they move a lot heavily on just the overall market, their sector. So you got to keep that in mind. When I put these levels on here, I'm always aware that, for these type of companies, what the sector is doing is a lot more important than these levels. So just keep that in mind. I only got 48.87 there. Let's look at Apple. Apple right now will remove some of our highs and lows. Again, just continuing to just stay in this flow here, in this channel. 162, 167, it seems to be the area right now. You can still get some pretty good moves. I mean, that's a $4 movement there, right? So you can still get some pretty good moves out of this. You're not getting the breakouts that we saw, the last couple of days where the market just gone wild, but you can still have some opportunities. Outside of that breakout, if we take a look at the bigger picture, we have 159.97. I mean, this down here, of course, but we're not going to get there unless we have a major SPY event or market event. We have here 170.14 is the cleanest level. And then in between here, I don't see anything that's great. There might be some minor levels like this one here. We got only 2 days, maybe 3, 168. But the 170 is what you're looking at. This is what you want to get to if we do decide to go north here. Facebook. Yeah, we'll get some questions towards the end. We will have time. I'm almost done with levels here. Facebook towards the top, guys, pretty much cover. And this one, more of a possible. I think Norm and I are watching this for you. You guys know what specific reasons. I think more of a possible today. So I'm going to move them down because our list is starting to come alive a little bit. There might be some stuff that we might like better on that main list. So I'm just going to mark down 198, but I'm not really focused on shorting Facebook. I'm focused on this thing, getting that squeeze. And like we did with Roku, we missed it on Roku, actually. I'm not going to miss it on Facebook. I'll tell you that much. All right, so that is it. We are all set. Let's look at AMD. AMD's good pre-market activity, probably the best pre-market activity out of the tech companies I am watching this morning. Love the pre-market 114. Towards the bottom, we are looking at 109, I will say. Not the best daily down here in this area. And then we might have this one here, 111. 111.84 towards the top, just marking the high of the pre-market. So much congestion up here, guys, with the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. I'm not going to add anything else up there. So that is all set. So yeah, and we got some good possibles. Lucid popping up over here. AMD we have on the main list, so let's get rid of it here. Plug, we not doing a whole lot right now. Block, pretty quiet, but we'll see where it goes. XOM, another alternative to Oxy for me there. Rivian moving nicely. This might be one we move up today. We'll keep a close eye on it. And then DKG.
On my list.
Yeah, right. I think this is one we have to move up today. All right, guys, let's get to some questions. We got a little bit of time here. One question we have here is, how long did it take you to go from sim to live? I did 7 months of simulation before going live in 2018. So you could do more, you could do less. You know, we have a great webinar that you can watch that tells you things to check off your list before going live, right? Things you want to make sure are in place before you start trading real life money. But the best advice we can give you when you do start trading real life money, it's got to be very small, right? You don't want to hurt your account, hurt yourself from
that's the most important
preventing to trade, right? Because you are going to lose money, guys. There's no question. You are going to take losing trades. But if you take 2, 3 losing trades and you're out of the game, something is wrong. Something is heavily wrong. You're not trading small enough. And when you think you're trading small enough, then you got to trade even smaller than that. And then I think you might be okay. All right. And irrelevant earnings.
I think that's the biggest. I think that's one of the biggest causes of failure is people coming in trading too much size too quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
It's nice to hypothetically think, oh, look, I could have taken this trade on, retrospect on a chart. I have $30,000 in my account. I could have gone 4-to-1 margin, and I could have caught a $30 move, and I'd have doubled my account in 2 hours. And it just doesn't work that way.
I always say that the worst starting traders, because I was this type of trader, are the traders that have their account, they have the risk tolerance, but they don't have the experience. Those are the worst traders. You end up losing a lot of money. So you don't want to be that trader. No matter what your account size is, you got to trade small. Before I found BBT, my first week, I opened up TD Ameritrade. I lost $700 in like 3 days. I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. Something's wrong. Just imagine the size I was taking, right? It just doesn't make sense. So you got to trade small. Very important. All right. Anything else? Any good tickers out there? Throw them out. But I think we have a decent list today already, and things are starting to move nicely here with the SPY as well. Is it possible to use replay mode with multiple stocks? Not at the moment. Actually, I think you could do 2. Right? I believe you can do 2 if I'm not mistaken. Can you use the replay with multiple stocks?
I think it's 2 at a time. But
it's 2 at a time.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend that. If you're trying to learn how to trade something, why the hell do that? You're not making any money.
Focus
and trade. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
And if you're talking about the DAS one, because the replay mode, that terminology is the DAS simulator. You can only do 1 ticker with DAS, I believe, right? So yeah, I know for sure you can only do 1 ticker with DAS. Our stimulator has 2. There we go.
Called it a stimulator.
Yes, they're gonna stimulate your trading mind for sure. All right.
Here's a good one, and this will impact me because I'll be out next week. Brando's asking if you've been away from the screens for a few days or weeks or vacation. Do you feel rusty when coming back? Do you typically size down? Yes, and yes. When I take time away from trading, I usually come back at least a day or so. Maybe not even the whole day though, but a day, 2 days, 3 days. Depends on how long I've been away. If I've actually really been away or just kind of not trading a whole lot. Because sometimes I go on vacation and I still trade, but I don't trade as seriously or I don't trade as big. So yes, I will I'll be a little more cautious when I'm trading. I'll size down a little bit until I get a feel for it and know that I'm comfortable. So
Yeah. Is whether or not is whether or not a stock is shortable a potential indicator for future price movement? No. I would not. I would not use that. It's whether it is, for example, they're saying is
no.
If a stock is shortable or not, can you determine what the price movement is going to be on that? No. We've seen
no, not at all.
We've seen no.
There's zero correlation
on short selling restriction that were along, in fact, just like a week ago, that were along the entire day. And that's when I asked you, Norm, when does the short selling restriction come off? But it's after the next day. And the stock was up.
But he's not even talking about SSR. He's talking about if it's shortable at all.
Oh, like inventory?
Well, it's not always inventory. That's the other thing we got to keep in mind.
Like, what does it mean by shortable?
For instance, well, no. I mean, if it's not always short, sometimes the broker, for safety reasons, will not allow shorting on it. If something is highly volatile, even if they have inventory, they might not allow you to short. So.
Okay. Yeah.
But whether a stock is shortable or not has zero correlation to which direction it's going to go.
Can't go by that at all. You just never know.
What else?
What else we got, guys? We got a couple of minutes here. Moderators are putting up their list, so we'll hop on that in a second there and see what they're watching this morning.
You've got a question here. I'll let you take this one. When I'm marking high and low of pre-market, I get confused if I need to include the post-market as well or just stick to the pre-market.
Well, you should only have one high and low of the pre-market. You shouldn't have this shouldn't be
well, the question is this. Hypothetically, you have for instance, Plug reported earnings last night. It's going to have a high and low of between 4 o'clock and the close late in the evening.
Yeah, you're talking about these.
And you're going to have another high and low of the pre-market. Do you mark both? Do you mark either? Do you pay attention to that from yesterday?
You can. I usually do not. I usually don't mark them. I mean, you can. I won't be surprised something happens here, right?
There are levels in there.
Yeah, especially with
usually don't
earnings.
Focus on them.
Yeah, especially with like earnings. Yeah, this could be important. I usually don't focus on them, but I can see some value coming out of that, right? We'll see Unplugged today. You know what? 2 people asked me for Ford. I think we discussed it already. But again, Ford here, guys, it's active today. It's up 3.76 million shares traded. This pre-market activity is actually pretty good for Ford. And they have some news out. They have a couple of things that are out. Norm mentioned them earlier. So yeah, Ford is in play. If you want to watch this one, I know Norm took a trade already early this morning. But yeah, this is in play today. Okay.
Somebody's talking about chart log in here, and I don't know. We haven't really discussed it here, and we'll mention it more going forward. But we just did a deal. Andrew and I worked out a deal with chart log in the last week or so that allows people to get a year of chart log for half off. And you can find it in the members section and all that. So,
yep, take advantage of that, guys. A really good way to track your numbers and a lot of fun stuff they have there. All right, guys, let's get to our moderators list 914. If you haven't done so already, as I resize this stuff over here, please hit that thumbs up. We're sitting at 206, just 50 shy of our daily goal here. So if we can get that, if you could help us get there, really appreciate your support. Bring this over here. Let's see what our moderators are looking at this morning. We have IPOs from Peter. None this morning. A couple of SPACs coming out there. My watch is not trading this morning, so Peter's taking off this morning. Jared is looking at earnings stocks, so SoFi, AMC, and maybe JWN. Banks is looking at Citigroup. Dima is looking at JWN, Nordstrom, Oxy, AMD, Apple. Potential shorts for Amen, American Airlines, and CGC. Tiffany, Nordstrom, Oxy, and Rivian, which again looking really good. I added that to my list last minute there. And Jarvis adding Oxy to his list as well. So there you have it, guys. Brian will be up. Oh, here's Megan coming in with her list. She's looking at Facebook, SoFi, Disney, and Nordstrom as well. Nordstrom had earnings, had a beautiful gap up this last night. We'll see where that goes today. Definitely in play. I have that one on my list. And man, it's sold off quite a bit already from the highs of the pre-market, 26, 29 down to 24. So that should be a lot of fun there. All right, guys, take care. Trade safe over on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We will see you again tomorrow. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Yeah.
Hang on one second. I just want to. We're fine. Andrew's not here.
Good.
Brian will be on in a second. So will you pull up this? I just threw another link in here, guys. This is, if you're a member, you can go into the dashboard. You'll see an icon there. It looks like a couple of. It looks like their logo.
Let me put this in a better screen for you guys. Here we go.
So on the left-hand side in that nav bar, you can see the fourth one from the bottom. It's kind of that right above the TI. Yep, right there. If you click that, you'll go here and you can get a year of chart log. It's their highest. I don't know if it's gold or crystal or palladium or what, but it's their highest tier of it's pro. Okay. Their highest tier of functions, and it's almost half off. It's usually $480 or just shy of that. You can get it for $249 if you go there and do it. Yeah, aluminium, as our friends across the pond say it.
Take advantage of that. And the story behind Charlock too, the creators is really nice too. So
it's brand new, guy. Joe, we just got that hooked up in the last week or so.
Yep. 245, just 5 more. Thank you guys. Appreciate that over on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support. We are good to go now. We will see you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. Take care, guys. Trade safe. Have a good one.
Take care, guys. Trade safe.